13 middle school students went to Rang Pond on a field trip yesterday. One of them did not come home, an absolute nightmare for any parent. Hello, everybody. I'm Lee Goldberg.
And I'm Lindsay Mills. On that field trip, there was one adult for every 10 kids. That's a standard ratio, but is it enough? Could anything have been done to prevent the death of Ray and Isa? Those are just some of the questions being asked today.
Along with the sadness surrounding the untimely death of 13-year-old Ray and Isa comes frustration and anger and lots of questions.
Personally, I think it could have been prevented. I don't know where the supervision was, and I don't think EMS handled it very well. The lifeguard never got in the water. Somebody should have been in that water far sooner than they were trying to find that kid.
Comment after comment flooded social media with witnesses and Lewiston middle school students themselves talking about how, in their opinion, it took too long for help to arrive after Rayan went under the water. John Bott, spokesman for the Maine Department of Agriculture, Conservation and Forestry, told News Center Maine that it took 5 to 10 minutes from the time the youth went underwater to when the lifeguard was notified that there was a missing person last seen in the water. 5 to 10 minutes. That's not the report that was given to Lewiston Superintendent Bill Webster when he arrived on the scene.
His classmates immediately notified staff and the lifeguard, and a search was quickly commenced.
Alexis Karen was at Rang Pond when this happened.
I mean, it was so very nonchalant. There was no screams. There was no signs of panic. There was nothing. And prior to that, the teachers were all sitting in their lawn chairs, and there was no organization. There was kids all over the beach. And I know accidents happen, but this could have been avoided.
Now, Superintendent Webster told us that the district has hired a law firm to conduct an investigation as to what happened and what, if any, mistakes might have been made. That's on top of the investigation being headed up by the Androscoggin County Sheriff's Department.
Now, this is obviously a terribly sad story, and we wanted to know what parents can do to prevent a tragedy like this from happening to their children. So we went to a local water park to talk to a safety expert. And when we got there, we discovered several of Rayan's classmates were at Funtown Splashtown for a different field trip at the moment he drowned.
Anytime you see a tragedy like this with a young person, it's just not right.
The sad news hit close to home for Corey Hutchinson on several levels.
Of course, I'm here running a business that's surrounded by water, number one. Number two, I'm a parent, and I've been on a chaperone on field trips before. So not only am I feeling it from a level of these poor parents that had to have a phone call made to them, but what about these other parents and people that were there?
Lewiston middle school students were on 2 field trips. One group went to the Saco water park. They would later discover one of their classmates didn't return home from the other field trip at Rang Pond. Ray and Isa drowned days after Olympic skier Bodie Miller's 19-month-old daughter died after wandering into a pool. About 10 people die every day from accidental drowning, according to the CDC. Many of those are children. Hutchinson has dedicated his life's work to water safety and offers the following advice to families going to the pool, lake, or beach this summer. 1. No horseplay. 2. Someone outside of the water needs to be watching, always. And 3. Use the buddy system.
It takes literally the blink of an eye for someone to swallow some water, be at the bottom of a pool or a lake or a pond for, 2 minutes. You could have a massive tragedy on your hands.
And some of you are joining the conversation right now on our Facebook live stream for this show. Tyler says keep pool toys out of the pool. Always have layers around the pool. In Virginia, Lisa says the facts need to be heard. Can't change something if you talk about it. Just hoping the poor family can avoid this for a while. And on the other side of things, Deborah says it's already a terrible accident. No need to make it worse now with this. And of course, we will continue to update this story. The Lewiston superintendent says all water-related school activities have been canceled for the time being. And we have more on this story at our website and mobile app.
So if you looked outside today, you'll see the clouds rolling in just a little bit, and that could be a sign of what is in our immediate future. KC, tell us all about it.
Yeah, well, the shower is about 3.5 hours behind. So for a lot of people, it was a nice, pleasant day and warm. 82 in Portland, 78 in Wiscasset, 84 in Lewiston and Augusta. Temperatures now cooler over southern and western Maine. Rain cooled as showers finally starting to move in. Again, way behind schedule. Most of them look like they were going to move in around noon. It's taken until 4:30 or so to get them in there. Across York County, a couple of showers, a few showers in the mountains, and across Aroostook County as well. Most of these, though, on the light side. The main thing they're going to do is cool us down for the rest of tonight, but the humidity will stay in the air until tomorrow morning, and that's the dew point being relatively high still at this point. So showers, storms. There is a line of thunderstorms back across upstate New York that's going to try to get in here after midnight, but I think at that point it'll be hard for them to be all that well put together. So a rumble of thunder is a possibility. Tomorrow morning we open with sunshine along the coastline, showers in the mountains, and then an isolated sprinkle later in the day along the coast as those showers in the front move through. After that, we're in good shape for Friday and into the weekend. The story, though, for the weekend and thereafter will be the heat. We'll talk details about that in a few minutes.
Will Jared Golden clinch the Democratic nomination for Maine's 2nd District without going into a second round of ranked choice voting? The veteran is teetering on the line of 50% while the numbers from the final precincts are crawling in. Golden right now is about 8 points ahead of his closest competitor, Lucas St. Clair.
But on the other side of the aisle, Republicans already know who will lead them on their quest to keep the Blaine House. Businessman Sean Moody had a clear majority last night, holding off a second round of ballot counting.
It's going to be a much longer wait for the Democrats, though. Attorney General Janet Mills is leading the pack in last night's primary results, but at about 33%, she is far from a majority. The second round of ranked choice counting won't even start until tomorrow.
But the time for complaining about ranked choice delays may be over. Question 1 reaffirmed Mainer's choice to use the instant runoff system. 54% voted to keep ranked choice voting.
So that's the news in our state, but a ballot question in California has a lot of people saying,
this today.
What? California?
Okay, real quick fun fact. I'm originally from San Diego, California, and I don't know what my opinion is on this.
Well,
what do you guys think?
Maybe we should tell them first.
Yeah, exactly.
California could become 3 states.
Exactly.
The ballot question was approved for November. If the proposal passes, this is what the new map would look like. Northern California, Southern California, and California. If the measure passes, Congress would still need to approve it. A recent poll from Survey USA found that voters were not in favor of splitting the state.
You know what they left out, though?
You?
Well, they left out Maine, Diego. That could be a 4th state.
She gets me.
Keith wasn't listening. Keith says don't encourage him. Okay, duly noted. Well, some Americans were stressed out last night watching the primary results come in. Others were stressed because they were watching this little raccoon scale a skyscraper. Say that 6 times fast.
Hashtag NPR Raccoon coming up. And
a Maine-based potato chip company that specializes in small batch potato chips is hiring, and here are a couple of their flavors. Cookout, Maine maple sugar, and Thankful. Tastes like Thanksgiving stuffing. They're hiring, and we'll take you inside the kitchen ahead.
All right, kids.
Okay, wait, sorry, I totally interrupted you.
No, that's okay.
But this story is just so fascinating to me about California wanting to break into multiple states. I mean, what do you guys think? Maine's a huge state. I mean, could Maine do the same thing? Is this like going to set the... I mean, are we eventually going to have like 80 states making up the United States?
Kids, we need to get to this.
Okay.
Rachel says playing the blame game isn't going to make the boys' family feel any better. Hold on a second. There was another one I want to get to. Deborah says it's already a terrible accident. No need to make it worse now. So I want to just get you guys behind the scenes a little bit as to how this story came to be. I asked some of those same questions that you're asking now, and I chose to do this story because as a parent, there is nothing worse than certainly sending your kid off to school, which is supposed to be the safest place to be, and God forbid they don't come home. So why would we do this story and try to find out what happened? It won't change the result. The result is over, and this family is going to have this unfortunate loss forever. My reasoning behind this is because this can't happen again. It's bad enough that it's happened once, but it can't happen again. So if we need to find out what happened, if and I don't know whose fault it is, and it doesn't really matter because, again, the end doesn't change. But if there needs to be, 6 kids to a chaperone instead of 10, or there need to be 4 lifeguards instead of 1, whatever the answer is, or that they can't go swimming, or you have to have a permission slip that verifies that you can actually swim. Any of those things, if anything has to change because of what happened to this young man and his family, and that would prevent someone else, then that's why I feel like today's story was important to ask questions and try to find out what happened. Where did we fail? And maybe the blame pie has lots of sections and everybody gets a piece of it. I don't know the answer, but I don't think we could just not ask those questions because it's such a sad and awful story, because it is. But we don't want more sad and awful stories. So,
sure.
So if anything, let's just try to learn from this, find out what happened, what went wrong, where did they miss, and make sure it just never happens again. So I understand your question. I appreciate you asking why does whose fault it is matter. So I want to explain to you why I think it matters, because my kids go on field trips and they've been to Rang Pond 100 times between all my kids. And that's, I've never once thought about that. And now, moving forward, I think every parent will. So
definitely.
Long answer, but that's the question.
And it's not just here in Maine. It's a conversation that's going on across the nation right now with Bodie Miller's 19-month-old daughter wandering into a pool and drowning. And that's not the first time something like that has happened. I mean, it's summertime and people are going to be at the pool, the beach, the lake, and water safety is on the minds of so many people. Right. I mean, don't you guys think?
And speaking with... oops, we'll have to get back to it, sorry, because we're coming back on. But
going back to the show.
One more point I want to make, so we'll get to it.
You guys might have seen this earlier today, this next story.
This has happened to everyone. I feel like mostly people on the Now team. But you're scrolling through Facebook, you find a random live video, you just can't stop watching it, like April, the giraffe, which was obsessive around here.
I know. Okay, well, lots of people here at News Center like to watch car chases, but last night, the little raccoon who could captured the attention of the internet. It started on Sunday when the animal was spotted on the ledge of a public office building in St. Paul, Minnesota. After 2 days without food or water, maintenance decided to rescue the raccoon, but she got spooked and started scaling the skyscraper next door. That sounds like the title of a children's book, Scaling the Skyscraper. Anyway, don't try that at home. People of the internet watched with bated breath, hoping and praying the little animal wouldn't fall. Then the hashtag NPR raccoon, of course, was born.
So she paused to take a nap on the 23rd floor yesterday, because who wouldn't, and then continued her journey. Everybody was brainstorming ways to maybe save her. One man even tried to fly a drone up to get her, but the wind was too strong. Finally, the building decided the best that it could do was try to lure the raccoon into a trap using cat food, but first, she had to make it to the roof. Around 2:30 in the morning, she made it. Now people across the country are breathing a huge sigh of relief and celebrating her success.
And she will be released back into the wild, back into a life of being anonymous, while her many fans wish her well. And in case you were wondering, yes, someone has already made a Twitter account for NPR Raccoon.
So obviously yesterday was election day in our state. You guys cast a lot of really important ballots. Probably none as important as this. This is a very important decision. Who is the more fearless climber? Hashtag NPR Raccoon, or the man who tried to scale hashtag Trump Tower using suction cups.
Yes.
We're debating this right now, really, live on our Facebook and YouTube streams. So come on over and join the ridiculous conversation.
Yeah, why not have a little fun?
Exactly.
Okay. All right, very real threat to our fishing industry, fear-mongering or very real threat. We get to the bottom of Maine's warming waters coming up in Braindrops.
But before that, Keith has a job, his maybe first job, which is forecasting your weather. It's coming up.
Keith, do you do those do you make references to your suits when people comment on them? Like if you get an email one night, will your whiteboard be about it the next day?
Okay.
No,
Jessica.
This is a train that can't be stopped.
Yes,
so.
Lewiston Middle School, this is their third death in the last 18 months, and it's just an absolute nightmare for them. And their staff and their administration and their teachers and the students, and they've been through more than enough. So that is awful. Rena, that's a good question. If a child falls in the water, they would try to get up, but and scream for help. Was this possibly a medical emergency? Obviously, another question we don't know the answer to. What we are being told is that the child did not know how to swim and was in a relatively shallow area of water where it was safe, and then didn't know that there was a drop-off, and while walking, hit that drop-off and then just went straight under the water. So
most lifeguards will also tell you, and Coast Guard members, that most drownings are silent. They're not like what you see on movies.
That's what I've heard today too.
Yeah. Well, and if you can't swim, then you might not have that ability to stay above water.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, actors in movies where they're drowning are treading water while they're drowning. That's not how it works.
And
so.
Jessica, I mean, you're right. The the children who were there, who were in the water, who were playing together and had to witness this, there are no words for it. It's just absolutely awful.
Going up to camp?
Some of you joining the conversation too, we had earlier about California's potentially splitting into several states, and someone's vacationing in Michigan right now and says that the mitten could easily be divided into 2 states. I lost the comment, but right here, Kath. Michigan could easily be split into 2. I'm vacationing in the Upper Peninsula now, and it could be better off without the mitten.
What's up, Hugh?
Point.
All right, so you guys are saying that the raccoon was better than the suction cup Trump guy. Everybody's in on the raccoon being better.
I'm in on the raccoon too, but when Rachel, our producer, told me the story, my mind went to the suction cup guy, because that was intense.
Yeah, that was weird.
Anyway, we're getting back to our show in a second here, and it involves my favorite thing on the planet. Have you ever said, I wish I was a taste tester? Well, a potato chip company in Maine is hiring 2 positions, and eating the product is encouraged.
Well, it was good working with you, because I am going to go take one of those jobs.
I was going to say, not if I get there first.
Obviously, in moderation, Clay Gordon takes us inside the Maine Vintage Kitchen.
Bell Farms out of Lewiston, delivering hundreds of pounds of potatoes to Maine Vintage Kitchen. This potato pallet will be turned into chips in about a week. But before it is in stores across New England, it has to be washed and sliced. Then fried, seasoned, weighed, and bagged.
It's booming, and we're looking for more hands on deck for making the chips. More wedding orders, more shipping orders.
Scott and Kelly Brodeur own the small batch potato chip company in Freeport and say they may need to find a bigger space to keep up with orders and more workers, such as a cook.
Square into the fryer. Okay. Just like that, you just drop it.
You feel like you kind of do a lot of taste test measures here?
I do. That's one of the perks of the job, and we also ask that the baggers do that too, to keep the sort of the cook honest with the flavoring.
It's my turn to see if I can take the heat.
There you go. Turn it and use the bottom of it and push down. Nice job.
I'm nervous.
On the rack it cools, and then it goes to the bagger.
Excellent.
They are also looking for a bagger.
It's important that you only handle the chips with one of those hands, because if you handle the chips with both hands, then you're going to get an oily hand on the bag.
You don't want that.
And we don't want that.
You try to take multiple at the same time? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think one at a time would take forever.
It would, yes.
Especially when you guys have things to do.
Right. Like 600 more bags.
600 more bags?
The Brodeurs weren't always in the chip biz, but they always kept the idea on the back burner.
We kind of had it as a someday for a really long time.
And if you're looking to cash in your chips at your current job, then the someday and sometime is right now. In Freeport, Clay Gordon.
Ruined it.
New Center, Maine.
That Maine Vintage Kitchen has unbelievable flavors. Cookout, Maine maple sugar, and Thankful, which tastes like Thanksgiving stuffing. The company launched its larger bags last week. Clay brought some home after his story. OMG. G.
Exactly, with
I
capital
need to
letters.
taste test more of those.
Exactly. Okay, so if this is the career for you, check out the Now section of our website where you can see the Now hiring segments we have already posted there, including this one.
I don't think Clay's going to make it because he was bagging those chips one at a time there.
Like, seriously, it's just like 1, 2. Come on, let's go.
This is
get in my belly.
I bet the professionals do it much faster. But all right, so today actually turned out a little bit nicer than we thought. The shower's just now rolling into the state, so most of us in good shape. But it is going to cool us down a bit because it was warm, it was humid. It was in the mid-80s in a lot of spots. Here are the showers, though, starting to roll into southern Maine. As I mentioned, several hours behind schedule. It looked like they were going to move in around noon, and obviously 4:30 or so is when they started to move in. Check this out. This is a cool little nerd feature here. See that right there? This is actually the radar picking up on an air mass change, a backdoor cold front that's working down towards Millinocket. And we know that because when you look at the temperatures, look at it. It is so much cooler to the north of Millinocket. It's 69 in Holton, 59 in Caribou, and 83 in Millinocket. So that cooler air is trying to backdoor down from northern Maine. You don't often see it that clearly on the radar. I'm sure nobody cares but me, but I think it's really cool regardless. Jess cares too. I know she was really excited about it. Showers and storms stretching all the way back into upstate New York. A lot of these, though, will fizzle out before they get into Maine later tonight. So scattered showers, temperatures stay relatively mild in most spots through the evening in the 60s, even by early tomorrow morning, and around 70 here at 2 a.m. So this is an air conditioning kind of night. Thunderstorms a possibility, but a lot of them do die out before they get here. By tomorrow morning, we've got partly cloudy conditions, showers and storms largely in the mountains, and then those eventually work towards the coastline by tomorrow afternoon. After that, we're done with the showers, start clearing out, and Friday we should be cleared out by mid-morning at the latest. After that, it's all about the warmth building in the plains and then crashing back down across the northeast on Saturday, Sunday, and into Monday. It will be warm through the weekend, mid-80s and then upper 80s at times. Monday is really interesting because there will be thunderstorms, and it will be a small spatial area, probably a third or so of the state, that has the potential to be in the mid-90s, though. So it could be very warm for a small portion of the state on Monday. Obviously, we'll nail that down as we get a little bit closer.
All right, well, you know, we're always paying attention to our Facebook comments for our live feed and our YouTube comments, and Vicky chimes in and says, Keith, I think you should wear a tie. Vicky, I could not agree more.
Keith
should definitely wear a tie.
I tried it one time.
What's the matter with you?
And it's legal.
Social listening.
All right. Fine.
Social listening.
All right, here, let's take a look at what's coming up on News Center Maine at 5:30. He's won his first election, but businessman Sean Moody still has to convince Mainers outside his party that he's the best choice for governor. We speak with the GOP nominee.
And 2 boys leapt from a burning building into the arms of a waiting police officer. That story coming up straight ahead.
We'll be right back. It's all good. It's all good. Okay.
Okay. Mary Lee.
A lot of people are also talking about the Chip story, saying they would love that job, that it would be awesome. They're hiring, so if this is something you're really serious about, go for it.
Mary Lee, I wore a tie for 26 years, and then we started this show.
In sports, you wore a tie, and then in news,
26 years.
You don't wear a tie.
Correct. Just this, because they said this show is going to be casual and laid back and conversational.
Does it get more casual than sports?
No, but I still wore a tie.
I'm just kidding. I'm just
Except if I was in the field, I would wear jeans. I was the only one who could get away with jeans.
Okay.
I always wore jeans.
I'm just trying to find the logic.
When I was out at live games. Like I'd be at the Super Bowl wearing like jeans and a button-down shirt. Mm-hmm. And I was overdressed compared to everybody else in sports. They're wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no tie for me. But Keith, you're right. He should definitely wear one. I try to tell these kids, they don't listen.
Tessa, I'm going to hide your comment from our producer Rachel because she's going to want to show this at some point, and then it's going to turn into the new April the Giraffe.
Oh, no more giraffe.
Yeah. I'm just teasing, but I'm half teasing.
Mary Lee, I used to do suspenders. Instead of the jacket, I had suspenders and a tie. I did that for about 3 months, and I didn't love that. I tried it. It was when I was working at WVII. I did suspenders and a tie for 3 months. And then I'm like, yeah, I gave up on that.
Those are the two things that Lee and I have in common.
Thank you, Lori.
We're Leos, and we worked at VII. Shout out.
And our initials are LG.
That's true, so 3 things.
Oh, well, they don't know that.
Okay, let's take a walk. We're going to brain drops.
They don't know what the G is.
It's Gordon. I mean, we know that. That's fine. It's fine.
Wait a second. You're related to Clay?
We're married. We know
what?
this.
What? I didn't know that.
Oh, my God.
Things you learn about your co-anchor.
Oh, my God.
All right, kids. We're going to be dropping some brain.
Mary Lee says...
watch this in case
she said we had 15 seconds.
About it.
1 seconds. 5.
It's 4 minutes of science, so just get ready for this.
Oh. Jess, you have a pillow?
Temperature anomalies in the Gulf of Maine, and what do you see in this trend in this chart?
So when you look at the temperature anomalies in the Gulf of Maine, and this is the average relative to 1982 through 2011, you see that in the in the 80s and 90s, the Gulf of Maine, you see a lot of variability, and we're actually one of the most variable places on the planet in terms of a piece of the ocean. But then in 1999, we take a little bit of a jump up, and it's variable again, but at kind of a higher level. But then from 2004, really up until the present, we've just had warm year after warm year, with 2012 being the warmest year ever for us on record.
And of course, with a line fit there, it's an upward trend. If we add another line to this, a dotted line that you'll see on this graphic, now we're talking about that's the global average for the rest of the oceans, and it's obviously much above in the Gulf of Maine.
Yeah, so you see, when you fit these trend lines, you see that the Gulf of Maine is warming at about 4 times the average rate of the global ocean. So it makes us one of the fastest warming places in the planet.
We're looking at sea surface temperature anomalies, and there's quite a bit of red here across parts of the Northeast.
Yeah, so the red areas are showing places where we're above the 1982 through 2011 average for this time of year. So you see that most of the Gulf of Maine is running warm, and that we have this really big tongue of really warm water that's coming in the eastern part of the Gulf of Maine. And that's been really pushing in all throughout this winter and on into the spring, and is a big reason why the Gulf of Maine is so much warmer right now this year than it has been.
I have the pleasure of interacting with people who are skeptics, I should say, about climate change, which obviously is implicit to all of what we've talked about today. This is a meme that was posted on my Facebook wall. Unfortunately, I've seen it more than once. Being in Maine, doing work in the Gulf of Maine, how does this hit you, the idea that this is a big conspiracy?
Well, as a scientist, science is ultimately resistant to conspiracies because our job is to really root them out. So if you come up with a hypothesis and I don't think there's evidence to support it, I'm going to come after you and I'm going to figure it out. And that's what's been going on in the scientific literature for generations. And so with something like global warming, we can actually trace the idea that carbon dioxide leads to warming in the atmosphere back to work that people were talking about in the late 1800s, the early 1900s, really important work in the 1950s. And one of the really great signs that you have a theory that's good, that's credible, that actually reflects what's going on in nature is if you can use it to make predictions. And the warming that we've experienced over the last few years is very much in line with predictions that people were making in the early 1980s.
The idea, too, of course, of being on the take is kind of interesting when you think about where the money might lie on either side, right? So I don't think there's too much money. You have grant money, people are doing research, but someone, if they could blow global warming out of the water on the man-made side, I would imagine there'd be a lot of grant money to be had on that side as well.
There certainly would be, and there's also, you would get a ton of prestige, right? If you took a major theory like the theory that, of global warming and anthropogenic climate change, and you came up with the smoking gun that said that wasn't true, that would be a huge contribution and you would be a scientific hero. And the fact that we haven't found that yet, despite a lot of people looking over generations, in fact, of science, means that it's probably not out there. The scientific story around climate change is really, really solid.
So thanks to Andy for helping us with that. A great resource there. What do you have to say? You got something?
I want to be the scientific hero. Yeah.
With the cape. and everything.
I mean, not necessarily on climate change. In general, just in general,
on
I want a
life.
big cape.
If that happens,
SH.
That'll be the day, my friend.
Scientific hero.
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't concerned about it, you know?
Of course.
Something to think about.
All right,
Okay.
kids. New Center 5:30 starts right now.
We actually thought about supering a cape in over us when you said that, but it was out of tone. It wasn't.
Wait, Keith, we have something for you.
What do you have for us?
Keith, the music that was playing.
Ready?
The elevator music.
Literally, it was labeled elevator.
Bye, guys.
But hey, that's what happens when I edit it myself. Yeah. You can definitely tell when I edit.